The Irrational Confidence Podcast.
It's the team I ranked number 3, and the group text message was phenomenal for that one, too. The Penn State Nittany Lions, they're 5-0 on the season. They're a 5.5-point road favorite. Again, another road favorite here. They're traveling out to play the men of Troy. Over-under at time of record is set at 50.5 there. Fresh, we talked a little bit this extensively about how Penn State has let us down. But the thing I was thinking about all this week after our recap episode was James Franklin is notorious for winning these type of games. He's not notorious for he's going to lose to teams like Ohio State and previous years Michigan. He's going to lose to teams that are going to be a top 10, 12 team. But he doesn't lose a bunch of clunkers against teams he's supposed to beat. I don't know. They have the running backs there. Drew Alars look better. I'll give the Penn State defense a lot of credit, though. That Penn State defense has been lights out at times and just snuffed people out to death out there. And any passing attack there. I don't know. What do you got for this one? Penn State versus USC.
USC stinks. You lost to Minnesota. Not the Vikings, folks. The Golden Bleeping Gophers.
Row the boat, man.
There's no boat. There's a piece of like a plywood up there. Like, come on.
It's the land of 10,000 lakes. There's boats in Minnesota.
There's that many. They're not running. They're not functioning correctly up there. And you lost to them. If you want to be this big time elite program and flash and pan of all over Hollywood, you don't go to Minnesota and lose to PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers. That right there is a statement on your program that just shows that you're a bunch of frauds. And actually it makes LSU look worse. We talked about that earlier because you beat them. You went to Michigan and you choked away against an average Michigan football team. You were out physical at the front of the line of scrimmage. And maybe that's it. You still haven't solved your problem. LSU tried to get fancy instead of run the ball down your throat in the opener. And now we all sort of believe that USC was legit. You go up to the big house. You got dominated line of scrimmage, especially in your defensive front seven, who got run over by the Michigan offensive line. And then what did Minnesota do? They did the exact same thing. They ran the ball down your throat. They owned the line of scrimmage. Penn State is better than Minnesota. And I'm going to say Penn State's front seven probably the same right now as Michigan's right this year based on the depth. You better watch out, boys. Men of Troy, you're about to be the boys of Troy. You're about to get destroyed. You've got to show up and bat down the hatches, figure stuff out, and show us something that you're tough. Show us you have some mental fortitude. Or the season could technically be over on Saturday afternoon. This is Lincoln Riley. Ever since you've been at USC, even with Caleb Williams, your teams were average, and we already kind of knew there was a lot of holes, and they've gotten worse. That first year, if you made the playoff, you would have gotten smoked. You were actually probably blessed by losing to Utah because they were physical and they played defense. And they actually kept you from getting blown out in the playoff. You go in and get embarrassed by Tulane. Last year, average at best. It all came out in the wash. And this year, you don't have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback to save you. Your receivers are Woody Marks has been okay at the running back spot. Your offensive line is Your defense fooled us. Week 1, we thought your defense was finally fixed. That's obviously not the case. It's the same old paper Tigers or paper Trojans in this case. Lincoln Riley, you've been revealed to be a fraud. Like it's, like Maury, like the show's like, and you're a fraud. It's like, you're the fraud, but you're the fraud. And it continues to keep being revealed week in and week out. You have done nothing to improve this program. You've been giving unlimited resources, transfer portal, throwing money around, high rises, condos downtown. You're still not getting done on the field. That's fine. You can throw all the money around you want to get transfers there or recruits straight out of high school. But when it comes down to it, your coaching, your development, your play on the field is just average. It is C best. It is not A. And if you don't get that organized by Saturday, you're going to get blown out of the Coliseum and your season will be over. You'll just be playing for whatever. Because this Penn State team knows if they get this win, they're probably going to lock themselves in at least as an 11 seed in the playoff. Because after that, they have Oregon and Ohio State, or Oregon and Michigan.
No, they just have Ohio
Oregon.
State. No, they just have Ohio State on their schedule.
Well, then they're locked in.
Yeah, they get Ohio State at home.
I don't think Wisconsin would give much of a fight. For some reason, I thought they played Oregon. And, Penn State's they're locked in. If they go out there and just take care of USC, and they know that, you get this game locked in, go out there and dominate, you are going to be sitting in the playoff ready to go. And that should be some motivation right there for James Franklin, because if he does lose this game or this team doesn't make the playoff, people are asking questions about him. We've been asking him for a long time. But I think the talent on offense, the talent on defense, this Penn State football team will go out to Southern California and have zero issues with the Trojans. It might be over at halftime. This could be a resounding big time win for James Franklin and Nittany Lions. If they come out there and run the ball down the throat, because I've seen nothing from this football team on the USC side that can show they can tackle running backs and lock down and cover gaps in the defensive side of the ball. It's going to be left, right, and above for that running back combination and a lot of play action, hit a couple big throws. But Penn State will dominate USC and USC's season. Recruits will decommit, and Penn State will keep themselves alive and put themselves in a playoff spot.
Fresh, just so I clear, did you just say paper Trojans?
Yes.
I thought that Trojans only used like wood or latex or rubber to build things out of. I didn't know we would have.
I was trying to build
Trojans.
off the paper tiger, paper Trojans. If we're gonna say faulty latex Trojans, I don't want to go down that road.
Well, paper Trojans just sounds straight up unsafe there, but
don't recommend it at all.
I would listen, to each their own. You're right on this offensive line with USC. I think that they were exposed in the game against the Wolverines there, and the Wolverines do have two guys who are NFL ready pass rushers. But with this team, you got a guy like King for Penn State. You have a guy like Carter for Penn State. Those two dudes get after the quarterback. I mean, they get after the quarterback. Penn State's got 13 sacks on the year already. I would not be shocked if Miller Moss gets sacked at least 4 or 5 times. Don't be surprised if he takes maybe 9, 10 quarterback hits. They are really going to need to do everything they can to protect him in this game, especially in the pocket there. I almost think that USC needs to keep a tight end in on every single play, maybe even a running back as well, because Penn State knows what they can do. They can pin their ears back, they can get after Miller Moss, and then let the secondary play press coverage, and you're really only having to cover for 3-4 seconds there. There's a good opportunity for Penn State to look really good in this football game. I also think that we're going to see one of those games where Drew Allard's not going to throw the football very much. I think they're going to get a heavy dose of Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. I think that both of those running backs are going to have a big day in this football game because, again, we saw with our own 2 eyes exactly what the Wolverines were able to do, especially late in the fourth quarter. Yeah, okay, you stop them, you get them off the field for a couple of drives in the first, but all Penn State's going to do is throw. It's like a boxing match. They're going to throw body blows, the whole thing, wear you down, and then they're going to start swinging haymakers and run away with this football game. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be over at halftime. I really don't know with that piece. But what I'll say this, Fresh, is I think this game is over by the end of the third quarter. I think we feel like this is in hand. You can turn it off, put it to bed, say goodnight, and throw away your paper Trojans.
Well, I mean, USC is not going to be facing an Alex Orji or Davis Warren at quarterback. So that's what kept them in the ballgame because they played so terribly up in Ann Arbor. They're going to get Drew Allard's not going to make as many of those mistakes. So that right there is going to – they're going to have to be a lot more perfect. They're not going to be given the free gifts to keep them or to have them be able to propel themselves back in the ballgame and eventually take a lead but then lose it. So this is where that line of scrimmage, that tackling, that defense for USC has got to show up and have a game of their lives. And funny enough, opener, I took LSU to beat USC. USC won the game. I took USC to beat Michigan. Michigan won. I took USC to beat Wisconsin. That's the only game that USC actually showed up and survived and actually covered. So,
They're losing at halftime bad.
Yeah, they were. They made a pretty impressive comeback, but I think Penn State's better than Wisconsin. If they can get a lead early, they're going to find a way to finish that ball game out and not let USC come in.
And especially after what we saw Penn State do to go into a place like Morgantown week 1, have a big win over there, I don't think they're going to be affected greatly by the amount of travel of this football game. It's a long way to travel from Pennsylvania to California. I think this is a 2-score game by the end of it. 2, maybe even 3.
And it kind of makes you laugh. Like, CBS has not really had many. They're known for their 3:30 SEC games in the past. This year, outside of that USC Michigan game, which actually it was ugly, but it was good. Their 3:30 in the slot has been a bunch of clunkers, and this one could be another one.